I'm going to need some help with this one because after watching this 26-minute video, I need like some sort of crazy pills to come back to reality. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of SmashJT. Think about the 3 most untrustworthy people in the gaming industry and imagine that they were trying to tell you to trust them. You can cut the irony with a knife. Anyways, these 3 all got together and held a seance to bitch about gamers because apparently anyone that wants to play a game that they enjoy is the problem because they aren't willingly allowing these consultancy firms to inject DEI into them. And because of that, unfortunately, guys, I got some bad news for you. Gamers are the enemy. SmashJT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article discussing this ridiculous slog of a video that I got through for you. It will break down the highlights, or I guess you could say lowlights from it, so that you don't have to sit through it. If you want to, I'll link it in the video description below as well, but trust me, you're not missing anything. Black Girl Gamers, a consultancy group, if you will, recently held their Online Summit 2024, where they held a number of interviews about the video game industry, and one particular video stood out to me as a bit peculiar. That one being breaking down the Gamergate, the toxic side of gaming culture. Jay-Ann Lopez, the CEO of Black Girl Gamers, Kim Belair, the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., and Parrish, a staff writer for The Verge, held their Online Summit 2024. Their event was supposedly a platform for authentic, real conversations about the industry. But in reality, it was anything but that.
One, it also shows that the work that we do needs to happen. The writing on the marginalized communities in gaming needs to happen. The consultation for games needs to happen because the small community, though they are small, they are loud, and we do need to have our contrasting narratives out there.
These are 3 of the most toxic, untrustworthy people in the video game industry, and they have to have an echo chamber. They will block out any criticism, any voices that are saying, hey, what you're saying, I don't agree with. I think we should have a conversation about. Nope, you're blocked. You're out of their life. You are toxic and you are bad to them. This mentality is exactly the type of person that is destroying the video game industry.
Oh, is this the reason that all of these games are now woke, that they have people of color in them, or queer people, or any marginalized identities at all? Or even sometimes that, you know, they perceive like, oh, this woman's design is not quite as it used to be, and I think it used to be hotter. So there's a lot of stuff that's been put on us, both things that we did work on, things that we didn't, and then we kind of just became shorthand for the wokeification, quote unquote, of gaming.
The panel pretended to invite discussion and dialogue, but it only served as a megaphone for these 3 participants to perpetuate their own biased narrative while continuing to stifle any dissenting voices whatsoever. And here's the real kicker. Before I even get to the video itself and some of these ridiculous clips and things they said, because trust me, you're not even going to believe what they said, they didn't even open up their comment section. Well, I mean, I guess technically comments are turned on, but do you see something interesting here? There's over 3,000 views and only 1 comment. And that 1 comment is a comment praising Black Girl Gamers because apparently they don't want any negativity in their life. Read criticism, or people that are trying to be critical or have a discussion about moving the industry forward. They only want people agreeing with them and adding them to the echo chamber that they've created. And yes, I've put a comment in there. I'll get to that in a little bit. But first off, let's listen to what Jay-Ann said about what this panel was supposed to be about.
We have some authentic, real conversations about the industry, something that I know a lot of us wanted to talk about and experience, and during the time we could not. So this is going to be a pivotal panel. In this panel, we're going to use Gamergate as the backdrop, and we'll discuss the realities of gaming culture, the intersections with gaming community, and how people can be accountable allies.
Notice how she doesn't say how people can be accountable. She says how people can be accountable allies, meaning as long as you are pushing their agenda and on their side, it's okay to be accountable for making sure you are pushing their truth forward, but not being accountable for your actions in denigrating other people or trying to ruin their lives. Because if they were accountable, I'd like to think Kim Belair would step forward and say, yes, I'm sorry, one of my employees, Chris Kindred, contacted SmashJT's old job trying to get him fired, making up things about how he's a racist and other horrible things that were said about him. But this is a war with these people. They are relentless and they will stop at nothing for victory. And that includes silencing, blocking, going in protected, and then trying to remove the income sources that people might have in order to win the battle and continue pushing their narrative. And one of the most ridiculous comebacks from Ash Parrish is telling people that they need to trust the establishment because they know what's best for you because they've been around for a while and that's where she works. So of course, those are the people you need to trust.
Your reliable sources are going to be like your big, tentpole legacy media kind of places. I work for The Verge, which is a vertical of Vox Media. There's Polygon, there's IGN, there's GameSpot, there's all these different legacy video game websites that have been around for a very long time that have a vested interest in making sure that the things that they share with you, the things that they write, are up to journalistic standards.
Yeah, I will trust the same person that literally just said that you will embed yourself in discords to find out what people are saying about you for the sole purpose of creating content and being able to play the victim card.
I am a video game journalist, and if you know nothing about Gamergate, one of their main hated enemies more than anything is a video game journalist who is not afraid to speak truth to power. And my experience with that whole chicanery is that they popped up. I went and embedded in their Discord and listened to the kinds of things that they were saying and why they were saying those things. Wrote a piece about how this second Gamergate is a bit smaller and sadder than what it was 10 years ago. And, whenever you write about those kinds of things, it really kicks a hornet's nest over.
You gotta see this yourself, right? But then we have Kim Belair saying, no, Ash, you might think you're a victim, but me, starting Sweet Baby Inc., I'm the biggest victim of everyone. We are patient zero when it comes to being victims because the entire video game industry is just full of such toxic people, horrible people, and they're all out to get us, and all we're trying to do is inject DEI into these games so we can make millions of dollars off these people, but for some reason, they won't give us the money, and it's the gamers that's the problem, not us.
Yeah, I would say I think of us almost in as patient zero of this wave of Gamergate, in that I think when I think of it as where it started, it was kind of the week that we had announced that we were on both Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man 2, which are two, I think, popular games among the game community and players in general. And immediately, I think the targeting began with this kind of we found this secret, sinister website from Sweet Baby Inc. Meanwhile, we're on Twitter I was so excited to let people know that we worked on these two really great games. And the assumption was essentially made that our work on that had not been story or narrative or character related. It had been to make a Black character exist in Alan Wake 2 and I think to put pride flags in Spider-Man 2.
And then apparently her company was unfairly targeted for wokeifying games?
And that was kind of the assumption that we had wokeified the video games. And then that led to, as a company, we worked on over 80 games together. So there was plenty of fodder for people to start going, oh, is this the reason that all of these games are now woke, that they have people of color in them or queer people or any marginalized identities at all? Or even sometimes that, they perceive oh, this woman's design is not quite as it used to be, and I think it used to be hotter.
A constant theme you'll see throughout this is none of these people take any accountability whatsoever. When it comes to the impact of forced diversity on storytelling and the game quality, Kim doubles down, framing her critics as bigots who simply can't handle change.
If representation is innovation, innovation is change, at the end of the day, that's all that they're really, really afraid of, right? They're afraid of anything that doesn't look like they remember. And we all have the Super Nintendo games or whatever, the old games that we cling to nostalgically, but everything evolves, everything changes, and I think as long as folks remember, we're making products, but we're also making art and we're going to stand by it. I think that's exactly the way.
It's the same old tired narrative that unfortunately at one point used to work. Thankfully, that tide is turning and these people are losing their minds.
If a game company is reaching out to external people, that's because they're missing something or they can't handle something.
Go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
The real problem with the summit is that it was nothing more than an echo chamber where dissenting voices were excluded by design. Lopez, Parrish, and Belair continually reinforced each other's victim narratives, thinking the whole world is against them and doubling down and tripling down. They're all against us. Yeah, that's the same thing happened to me. They're all out to get me. They're all mean gamers. Everyone hates us. Why can't they just pay us money and go along with our narratives? Why are gamers the problem?
I would say that at a certain point, it's a macro level community management, right? It's learning how to, I think, express these kinds of things, not only when we have these spikes of hate campaigns, but also in general.
And then when gamers try to say, hey, let's have a conversation here, they don't want to hear it. In fact, they just block you. These are the type of people that will paint anyone who disagrees with them as part of some grand, nefarious plot to suppress diversity and inclusion in the gaming industry, when in reality, gamers know that these people are contributing to the actual downfall of modern gaming, and they don't care about it. They would watch the industry burn as long as they can make their money on the way down. What stands out most from all of this is the blatant hypocrisy from the participants. They claim to want a dialogue, but are quick to silence or dismiss anyone who challenges their perspective. They continually assert that they're being unfairly targeted, yet they fail to recognize that they are doing the exact same thing of what they're accusing everyone else of doing, engaging in exclusion, discrimination, and bad faith arguments. That is exactly what defines these people. And judging by the likes and dislike counter, there aren't many people who have watched it, but those who have hit the dislike button. And even though YouTube turned off the dislike button, you can still see it through a browser add-on, and it's something that people like Black Girl Gamers and Kim Belair from Sweet Baby Inc., they don't want people to have a voice. They don't want you to be able to say that you disagree or that you don't like the direction that they're taking something. They just want you to consume, agree, and move on. And any time that you dissent from that, you are now the enemy. I wrote a comment on the video that is obviously not showing up there alongside plenty of other people that have not been approved by an administrator because they don't want people to see the truth, which actually is part of the reason why I made this video. Because if they're not going to give me a voice on their platform, I'm going to use my own that is much bigger than theirs and expose their asses for everyone to see just how horrible they really are. Hello, yes, could you please inform Kim that one of her employees at Sweet Baby Inc., Chris Kindred, contacted where I used to work, claiming false things about me in an attempt to get me fired. I feel like that qualifies as harassment, and I'm strongly against that. It is important that we hold everyone to higher standards. Oftentimes, the frustrations from Gamergate 2 stems from one-sided discussions like this one here, without accountability from yourselves as well. You are not holier than thou, and in fact, do stoop to the same levels or worse than the very people you claim that are the problem. Like when Black Girl Gamers sent that cease and desist to that Park Place for reporting accurately on a story that they didn't like. Let's all try to be better, starting with yourself. And obviously, they didn't want people to see that information out there, so they didn't approve that comment. But there's nothing in that comment that says anything wrong or false. And you gotta ask yourself the question, if the vast majority of the video game community is vehemently against the existence of these consultancy groups, and everyone that I talk to and hear from, even in my comment sections that are open to all, seems like the overwhelming majority of people do not want you to exist in the gaming world, why do you persist on your journey to do it? And ultimately, the only reason that makes sense and what it comes down to is you make a lot of money and hide behind the veil of, oh, it's for a good thing. It's because equality and equity and diversity and inclusion, and if you don't agree with it, you're a bigot. If we're going to move the gaming industry forward and truly be inclusive, we need to have open dialogues and open conversations. But unfortunately, with people like this, they will not have it. So you got to take the stance of, if you're not going to have a conversation, you need to get out of the industry because we feel like you are ruining it and you will not talk to us. And right there is exactly the epicenter of the problem of all of this. Until people like this are willing to have an open dialogue and actually discuss and have a genuine exchange of information and ideas to find out where people are at, then their claims of fostering authentic conversations will remain nothing more than hollow words. And honestly, I'm not going to hold my breath. Anyways, if you guys want more information, check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down this ridiculous echo chamber of a conversation. I gotta be honest, this is one of the worst, most painful videos that I've had the displeasure of getting through in my life. And it's all thanks to people that are living in an echo chamber, unwilling to listen to rational thought. They are so caught up in their own world, trying to make money off of gaming, that they don't realize that they are crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. And as always, you stay smashing.
Saying that they want to make games, but then when marginalized people or people who, if the studios then want to include marginalized people, it's their force to do so.
Yeah,
and
I was
then
actually
again, marginalized people, and 2 of them have CEO as a title in whatever kind of podcast this is. Just keep that in mind. Marginalized CEOs. Only in America or even Canada can you have something called a marginalized CEO, bro. Only, I swear to God, a marginalized CEO. When the fuck would we ever hear that?